Hello and welcome back to the Ecuador Insider Podcast. Jesse, Brandon, pleased to be with you on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, October 23rd.
Holy cow, October 23rd.
October 23rd. It's almost Halloween.
How many months did we miss? Skip a couple of months?
We skipped a little bit.
Yeah.
I've done a little skipping.
Yeah.
We were passing.
Yeah. We passed a little bit.
Passed.
Yeah. People, I get emails and messages all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, where are you guys at? What's going on? Is everything okay? Oh my God. Constantly. I'm sure, as you do, I'm sure we all get them, and it's just like, bro, we have real lives. I love doing the channel. I love the stuff, but man, we're running all over the province for dance, and we're going all over for soccer tournaments, and people took a break. It's all good.
It's funny too. We'll get suggestions on content.
Yeah.
And some of them are great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, we got a whole list
right.
content we'd love to get to, bandwidth and time permitting at some point. But particularly the series on, just going to all these different plaplaces and going on adventures and recording them, that we actually do need to get to at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because that'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun and it'd be
interesting,
awesome content.
Educational.
There's just so much, it's like if you take your average content creator in the world, it's sort of personality based, and it's which is great, but it's sort of personality based, and people are kind of all doing the same thing. But there's 500 places in Ecuador we could go to that we would be the first people showing it on YouTube ever. Right. So so it's there's some unique experiences that could be shared. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, closing in on Halloween.
Yeah.
Closing in on being visited by space aliens.
Yeah, right.
Here, coming right up.
That's the story. That's the official. That is the official story.
I think that is basically the official story at this point.
So we know about official stories.
So can we say that basically disclosure has happened?
Right. According to the officials.
Well, that's right, which it has to be that, right?
Right, but the official story is never the truth.
No.
So the fact that this is the official story
is interesting.
What is it?
Right, what is it? What's the psychological aspect? Right. What is it? Yeah, no, it brings up all kinds of interesting topics. We're talking about 3i Atlas for those
dude, I love
living under a bridge without a cell phone.
I love the new agers on this one, dude.
What is the
3i Atlas? 3i Atlas. Everyone will finally see from their third eye at last. 3 eyes at last.
Is that?
Dude, I've seen it 1,000 times. It's so. Whatever. Come on, you've not come across that.
No.
Really? You've not. Oh, wow.
No, it's.
Oh, I thought for sure you'd be like, oh yeah. Dude, it's like every new age influencer and their mother has got the 3 eyes at last.
Yeah, but I did see a thing today where they're saying that, they said that there's signs of biological markers or something, but not just they weren't saying they weren't saying the environment or, the parameters that could produce life. They were saying markers of life.
Right. Based on what? Right?
Right.
This is the kind of shit that drives me wild because, things are this far away in space and it takes this many years to get them, and these are the photos we have from these amazing things, and then blah blah blah, but yet the moon, how many miles away is the moon supposed to be? Right? But you can zoom in on your phone and see the craters. Right. But then if you take a picture and zoom in on an airplane or a helicopter, you can't even make out the letter. It's blurry. That's way closer than the moon's supposed to be.
Great point.
So how far away is it really? One's moving. Well, I thought we're all moving and we're spinning and swirling. So how is it so clear? But yet we have ways to track, to determine that there are signs of life on this thing that's who knows where the F it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, give me a break, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
there was some video I was seeing this guy, and it could all be BS. Like, I don't know. I didn't vet it. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, how do you can't vet it anymore? You can't vet anymore. We can't vet anything like
that hard.
anymore.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some guy was showing, like, this I think it was 1958. So like not that old. Like I don't think it was 1858. I think it was 1958. Like an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
That was talking about the firmament at 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
And
there's tons of things, encyclopedias. And
yeah, and then I was watching this other guy had one of those spinning ball globes.
Yeah.
But it was this one that the top opened and it had like a bar in it, had like little shot glasses and stuff like that in it. And this guy had rescued it from his like mother-in-law's or something. I'm just thinking it'd be a cool little bar thing to have or whatever, bar atlas, and it had in it, a big section of it kind of looked like Russia sort of, but like a big section that said Tartaria.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at so many of those. Like, all right, what the what is it? The negative of the moon topography is a reflection of a flat Earth map that happens to be the same, that anatomic or geometrically is the same as the map on the wall in the United Nations.
The UN,
those are things you can just go, like, can we vet things like that? Unless the map that they show us from in the photos that we've have from the United Nations have been faked forever.
Which they haven't, yeah.
Then no, that's actually true. Like, we can see that. You can take a picture of the moon yourself, revert, do the whatever they do with the, and lay it there and, okay, well, that's exactly what it is. What does that mean? I don't know. I know what it could mean,
sure.
Right?
Sure. Well, and I mean, even if you just take our current map, the continents all look like they fit together, more or less.
Right, and the sizes. I mean, it's open. Like, I don't even know. Do they even teach kids in school anymore that when they look at a globe or particularly
the
a
scale
map,
is off?
That the scale is way off?
Yeah, I don't
right?
know. I remember them telling us that when we were little kids, but I know people now are like shocked to learn that all the continents are the wrong size on what they tell us is the map.
Right, and how big Africa is.
Right. Right, and I think it makes the stuff that's closer to what they call the poles like bigger, I think. So it's like the northern and southern look bigger, I believe.
How it's distorted.
So it's like Australia looks like way bigger than it is. And I think the US also and Canada, because it's up high or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, so what is all that stuff, man? Who knows, right? But it's interesting. The 3-Eye Atlas stuff is at least interesting because, regardless of what it is, which I couldn't even actually care less, other than I'm mildly entertained, there's going to be something. It's either a distraction for something else,
right,
or there's going to be, there's something this is, things like this historically don't get to this level of where you have Harvard professors that happen to be Zionist Jews. Like, I don't know, right? Does it matter?
Talking about it?
That are openly talking about take your vacations before Halloween because we don't know if money will be worth anything,
Right. Which means they definitely want people aware of it. And we don't know what else it means. We just know it means that.
Right. I mean, they've written papers by astrophysicists, like peer-reviewed papers about this stuff, like coming from Harvard and other like big schools. Like, So what? Here, look over here, is something happening over here, or look over here because we want you to see something and we want to confuse,
I mean, and so often things are not just one thing.
No,
like,
totally.
So often when events happen, they hold components of multiple things.
Right.
And those are not, like, the energy signatures on those things are not all the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like it's only good or only bad, like only light or dark. Like, it doesn't have an energy signature that's only like tricking you, or only waking you up, or only doing something that could be,
because that's your choice.
could be deemed positive or negative.
That's everything.
True, but I think, like, I don't know, there's some added element to me on a lot of these things where it's like I literally think they're multifaceted.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
But everything is, right?
Yeah, but I mean it in a different way. Like, I mean it
What do you
in a
mean?
way beyond just interpretation. Like, I mean it from its origin point.
Well, how is that possible?
Yeah, I don't really know, other than I think that, well, here's how. So it's like, yeah, I don't really know, but here's an interesting aspect of it. You know how, I don't know, is this something you've thought about, or are you, or I don't know if this is something you've thought about or are familiar with? Like, you know how so for example, right, when we see quote unquote negative events happening,
Yeah.
usually they're like shock events, right? We'll see, 9/11 type thing, or, or a school shooting, or a war or a bombing, or some kind of,
Yep.
some kind of negative event. Well, there's a reason that they're happening at the rate and the timing that they're happening. It's because they have to come in at certain moments in order to counter the light that's happening. So like when there's a big opening and there's a big like awakening and there's a big like people are picking their head up and there's good things happening on that side, that's the moment that we have to have some, that they'll do some sort of very negative thing to try to take that same energy and like convert it into fear, as opposed to wherever it's going, sort of some enlightening, some sort of awakening kind of energy. So that's why you see in the cycles of time, like you see it both happening simultaneously at the same time, both the light and the dark, right? You see more good and more beautiful than ever in the world, and you see more chaos and more craziness, and horrible stuff. You see, right? So you see it's always like that dual thing. So I don't know, that kind of plays into it in some way, I think, where it's like you're getting, you have this event, whatever it is, whatever it means, I don't know. Like you have this event that, could it be Project Bluebeam type stuff? Sure.
Right.
Could it be like fake alien invasion type stuff? Sure. Could it be that and also part of disclosure and part of like people's consciousness opening and waking up to other energies and other stuff that's going on, and sort of a more intergalactic, interdimensional reality and things like that? Yeah, like could it be both of those things? Right. Yeah, like it actually could.
Right. Well, that's I think it comes back down to as simple as that choice belongs to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the funny thing about hope, right? Because nobody else gets to decide if you feel it or not, right? So any of these things, regardless of what they are, you still have a choice. And hope is the only thing stronger than fear, right? So, and all of that, I'm hopeful for Three Eye Atlas because everyone can see the third eye. Okay, great, good for you. Awesome, right? I'm hopeful because whatever, it's going to unite people. I'm hopeful, right? Or I'm fearful, like I'm scared what's going to happen. Is it aliens coming? Are they invaders? Are they good aliens? Right. Are they going to anal probe me? Right. Like, oh my God, what does this mean? Does this mean God isn't real? Like think about like the cycles it can spin people into.
Totally.
But it's a choice. It's still a choice, man. Yeah. Because you can choose to say, hey, man, this thing, this space, there's a mothership. It's like we're living in a world, War of the Worlds movie. It's coming across the ocean. I'm seeing it. I'm watching the news report. It's on social media. I can see it. It's coming to the coast. Now I'm on the coast. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Not even on TV anymore. I'm getting goosebumps. Like, oh my God. Like, what's your choice there? Yeah. Like, you can have a choice that, like, I mean, can it fracture you? Without a doubt, dude. Sure. You could lose your mind in that moment.
Yeah.
Or and you can freak out and be scared and petrified and do crazy things, and a lot of people would. Or you can choose to have hope, man, and like, all right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, it's always that though to me.
No, you're right.
It's always that.
It is. And it's it's this thing I talk about a lot of sort of the distance between your consciousness as, well, collective consciousness for humans, your consciousness as an individual, the distance between those two things and God, aka truth, that distance is what defines, in many cases, like, are you gonna be fractured, or is this like a beautiful, potentially beautiful experience that opens up, new levels of consciousness, right? Because for some people, the idea that there's other consciousnesses and other realities, and that, we're living in this sort of multiverse, and the holographic nature of reality, and, the idea of different energies and different realities and all this kind of stuff. For some people, that's very normal, and some concepts that they're very comfortable with, even to the point of, there's lots of people who live in that world of interacting with other energies, and people can even see stuff and different things like that. So that's like one level or one aspect of consciousness. Two, the person who's like literally believes whatever they've been told from birth until now.
Right.
And the idea of aliens even existing is scary, and then all the places that could go psychologically are right there. So it's like, again, it's always that bridge that needs to be gap that needs to be bridged between just reality, like truth, and what level of deception we've been living under, and then how scary is that process of getting from there to there.
Right. And that's where, like, with all the stressors and both psychological, financial, chemicals, all the shit that we've talked about 1,000 times about, like, stuff in the food, chemtrails in the air, electromagnetic, 5G, political stressors, financial meltdowns, stock market, jobs, blah, 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 immigration, Trump, Biden, all the, kidnappings, border patrol, like safety, security, all that stuff. Like, that's all like stressors, right? So, so when you have something like this kind of stuff, it can be easy for folks to, some people would call it demons, like demons in your head. Some people will call, we've talked about it, or I've talked about it before. It's like the story we tell ourselves, like how powerful that could be, because think about it, like, so let's say, just for example, there's somebody, just a normal like convicted Christian in the States, like like a weekend, I go to church every Sunday, I pay my taxes, I'm struggling to, I'm doing the thing, I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, this is what I'm supposed to do, you're in that, right? Yeah. Good person, right? But they're convicted, and maybe they're not thinking outside the box, maybe they've not thought about what, how that aliens don't, the presence of aliens don't disprove Jesus Christ or God, right? Maybe they haven't gone down that path, right? But then all of a sudden now there's an alien ship, right? And that fractures their whole belief system, right? In that moment, because now for them in that moment, they're realizing that they believe that aliens exist, and now they haven't been able to process through their faith,
what that means,
right? What that means for them, right? Yeah. So it's I think it's really easy for people, when you're under those types of stressors, and these are chronic, like over years and years and years and years, building up to all of a sudden be like, I'm hopeless, like I feel hopeless, right? And then how that is kind of how that can spread like an infection within a circle of folks that particular individual comes in contact with, right? Yeah. Because if this is let's just say this is like, this is the guy that's like, Mr. Positive, Mr. I'm going to church, I'm paying, I'm a leader, I'm a Cub Scout leader, whatever, like just like the guy, and then all of a sudden he's hopeless. And he's the guy that people looked at like, hey man, you're inspiring me, you're keep doing it, like I look up to you, you give me faith, you give me hope. And now he's hopeless. Now you've got people that have looked at him for hope that are saying, well, gosh, if he doesn't have hope, like how could I have hope? If somebody like him has no hope, how can I have? I'm bringing that back to the stories we tell ourselves, because we're our own worst critics, right? So whether it's demons or not, I think at some level it can be demonic, and demons can take hold in humans, and you can go on a very downward spiral of self-sabotage, right? But you can tell yourself a story that's not demonic, that's just a negative story. And we're our own worst critics. So we can get into a pattern of telling ourselves negative things about ourselves that maybe aren't even true, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're that person, which can be a lot of people. I've been that person in my life before. And then you meet this guy that all of a sudden has no hope, and you're like, well, and you have all these negative stories and these patterns running in your head, and now he has no hope. How can I have any hope? Like, you can see how that can spread, so it's just like, again, though, it's still it comes down to a choice, but it takes, I think to be able to consciously or actively make that choice, people have to have had certain experiences in their lives, or, like, I talk about this all the time, where for me, like the September 11th thing, like I was the guy that believed everything, and it was whatever I was told, it's official story.
You were G.I. Joe.
Yeah, right. And then when I'm rehabbing my shoulder and my unit's activated and going overseas for September 11th after that attack, and the handwritten letters that I got back, when those told a different story than what I saw on the news, that literally changed my perspective on everything after I kind of wrapped my head around it. Right? Knowing that this was actually the truth, and what I was seeing everywhere else was not the truth. Not every single but the narrative, the official story wasn't true. And then you go down that rabbit hole and you find out all that, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that the official story is not true anymore, right? But without that experience, like, again, or something like that, how do people get to the point where they can actively make that choice for hope first, I don't know, like.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's a process, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, any aspect of life that you get close enough to the specific thing you're involved in makes you realize that in that aspect of life, the official narrative is total BS. Yeah. But that's true of anything you get close enough to.
Yeah.
So like people, whatever someone gets close enough to, they're like, oh, this is all fake.
Right.
But they don't get close enough to 100 things. They only get, like in your case, it was like you're in the military and you're close enough that you have friends who are overseas in the events that are being reported on. And so you're close enough that you can get real information directly, and you realize, oh, like the official story is complete nonsense. And that's true of any walk of life. It's just we're not all talking to each other to realize like, oh, it's all
right.
It's not just my little silo that's
well, some of these on a bigger scale though, like some of these like world event type things where like you can go into the the nitty gritty on beekeeping and be like, oh, it's not like,
I mean, even that, like, I don't know what it is specifically, but like if you get nitty gritty enough on teeth, for example, you realize, oh, like everything they told us about teeth is bad. Like it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like bees, like I don't know, maybe, but I'll bet even that. I'll bet like this, the like traditional like consensus on how to do it is I'll bet if you found someone who was actually like
actually,
good
like,
at it, would be like, no, it's
that's
all
crap,
wrong.
right.
Like, here's how you do it.
Right. But what are I guess the implications of bees' health is actually a pretty rippled impact. Complex, but anyway,
Yeah.
that was a bad example. I was trying to think of something like a small thing, like, yeah, but like world event type things where it's like a coordinated mass psychosis kind of intentional thing. Like, those are the things like, what?
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, like, at least for me, and so I'm sure this is universal, but it's such a process of like awakening recalibration, or awakening integration / recalibration on every new thing that you learn, or every new piece of data that comes into your consciousness. It's like your consciousness then has to recalibrate around that new reality. And it's that process where the pain is. It's like that process is where there's friction and there's disruption, and that's sort of where the cognitive dissonance comes in, and that's where you can get the fracturing, or you can get people who just stick their head in the sand, or just they don't want to know, because it's like that, what they're seeing, that the recalibration that would have to happen if they were to accept this data point that came in is just too much for the psyche. And so it's like, no, I'm going to even though I'm going to maintain this belief, because this piece of data would cause me to have to change that belief, and that looks really scary, and I don't want to do that. So it's like a process, that's why it's a process, because it's like there has to be a chink, a little layer that just allows something to open up, and then you recalibrate around that, and then there's more space for the next, for the next layer to happen, or the next recalibration to happen. So again, for something like this, for someone like me, who's been interested in these kinds of things for 20 years or whatever, the idea that like there's something hurtling through space and we don't really know what it is, and maybe it's manned, and maybe it's biological, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's that. For me, this is like, oh, okay, like this is happening.
Beat me up, Scotty.
It's like interesting. Like it's not unexpected. It's not something that's shocking. It's just kind of interesting in terms of like, okay, is it a Project Bluebeam type thing? Is this a consciousness type thing? Is it both? Is this part of disclosure? Is this, whatever? Like, I don't know. Like, is this some sort of psyop, or like,
some shiny
is it a rock? Right? Does space even exist?
Right.
I don't know the answers to these things, but I've been like open enough in my consciousness to stuff like that there is no real gap that has to be bridged between like my world and now this new data, and then what is that reset point, and how scary and how much like psychological damage does that reset happens within my psyche, like resetting. It's not a lot, but for someone who's like doesn't believe in aliens and doesn't believe in God and thinks that this is just a physical world, and 1 plus, if I put this, X plus this equals that, period, no matter what, and, has never thought about the hologram idea, and has never thought about, what is space-time, and what is reality, and what are all these things, then this could be, this could be an event that causes that gap to be really wide, where that recalibration has to happen. And that can look however it looks.
Yeah, and that's like that story is told a million times. That's like that's Aesop's fable, the ant and the grasshopper, right?
Okay.
Well, that's like the Bugs Life movie. You ever see the pit? Right. So Flick is like somebody that thinks like you and I more, right? Where we're open to that, and all the other ants, most of the other ants, including the queen and the prince, they're like, this is the way, and the 5 grasshoppers can rule 5,000 ants, right? But and they don't realize that, and this is what I believe, and I think you do too, that we're all born with a voice that can drive back darkness, like period. All of us, right? That's it. It's again, what story do you tell yourself? How much hope do you have? Where like what do you want to believe? Like you can be Flick and have a voice to drive back darkness, and Hopper the grasshopper is going to go running for his life when he's got to take on 100 ants, let alone 5,000, right? Or you can just put your head in the sand have your cognitive dissonance and keep picking your food and giving it to the grasshoppers and you know, like, and keep going and die and you know and
exactly.
do it again. Like, you know, that's it, you know.
And then I think that's a nice transition too into, you know, some of these choice points that are being forced on us now that make what you're bringing up like very relevant today in terms of, you know, if you're in England, are you going for the digital ID or not? Like, are you willing, like, is, you know, like, those are real choices for people right now in real places on Earth. Like, implemented to some degree already in China, being rolled out now in other places. And it's like...
It's in England right now?
Well, it's been announced. I don't believe they've passed a law yet, to my knowledge. Maybe they have, but Keir Starmer has been on television now announcing the digital ID and saying that you will not work without it. That it is a requirement for work.
Interesting.
To have a job, you are required to have the national
in the UK
digital ID.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's like, I don't know, when I think of, you know, when I think of choices in life and I think of life paths and I think of lifestyles and, you know, at the end of the day, it's like you and I are middle-aged, you know, and when you're middle-aged like I am, you know, you do start to like look at life a little bit differently, just in terms of time and in terms of how quick it goes and in terms of, you know, how much time you really have like walking Earth, you know, which it's quick, it's short, you know, it's not an endless. You're not here forever. I got another, you know, it's really not. I mean, we're in our 40s. So we have what, another 10, 20 years where we can really be truly productive in the same way, you know, kind of. And even that is pushing it maybe, right? So it's like, and then, you know, so you have you know, you don't have a long time and you really do have to prioritize and decide like what is your mission and what do you actually want to accomplish in this life and what's important to you and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, you know, in that vein, like, hey, maybe person X, like maybe their life path is to like be in England or be in some of these places that are having some of these things going on and being a voice against it, or being a voice trying to, you know, exposing, or maybe they want to fight the good fight in some way or protest or we'll do whatever, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think probably that is some people's life path and it's probably what some people should be doing. But like for someone who's wired the way I am, and I think a lot of people, it's like, what do you want? What environment do you want to be in? What do you want to be surrounded by? Mm-hmm. I like the fact that I'm in a place that I don't have to worry about those things. Not from the standpoint that they couldn't try to roll out weird stuff here.
Sure.
They have a couple of times, and I'm sure they will continue in some way. But the dystopian nature and the draconian nature and the overbearing sort of, you know, the state just being really crazy. You have that in a place like England that there isn't a possibility of it happening here, right? They don't even have the infrastructure. Culturally it's not possible. Infrastructurally it's not possible. Implementation-wise it's not possible. Even psychologically it's not possible. Like the population hasn't been conditioned enough here that they would ever accept anything as crazy as some of the stuff I see that's going on in places like the UK, where it's like people are getting arrested for saying an opinion, or things like that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, man, like for example, like the 3i Atlas stuff, right? Okay, let's just say, let's fast forward to however many weeks or whatever until, you know, it is or isn't within, you know, sight. And let's say it's an alien, let's say it's a spacecraft, right? And there's little baby aircrafts flying, dropping down from it. Like, okay, think about, you know, the fracturing, the magnitude of fracturing that would happen in a place like this, I think, is so much less because we're in the rural Andes Mountains, and I can talk to people that have never left this province, that have never left anywhere around here for generations, right? Simple farmers or taxi drivers, you know, salt of the earth people.
Yep.
that'll tell you dead straight face that they've seen aliens and they've seen things and they've seen this on Mandanga or they've seen this over here and they can't explain this. Like it wouldn't be like a surprising thing. Like, you know, it's like Hollywood does this thing, like whenever they show indigenous people, you know, represented, you know, recently, like on the reservations in the state, in the Navajo, you know, like, oh, they'll show a helicopter and they'll make the indigenous sound like morons, like, oh, the white man's fly thing, you know, magical, like, shut up, like, what are you talking about? They're not retarded, like what do you, like, Hollywood does that, like,
totally.
And it's like, no, like, they're so much more advanced than you could even imagine in what they think and their complex thought and what they can comprehend, way beyond what you even can, probably you could even contemplate, right? Right. So my point of that is, even if it's something like that, where if it's freaking an alien mothership, people are going to lose their shit in the States, in England, in Canada, like, you know, and you think people are going to lose their shit here? Some of them will.
Yeah, in the cities.
It's not going to be to the same magnitude,
no,
nor to the same, you know, sprawl, in my opinion. So, I don't know, it's just
totally. Yeah, it's you know, it's that dichotomy we've talked about many times, you know, of like, everybody's just wired differently down here, and a lot of it has its drawbacks. You know, there's a level of intellectual planning and thinking that's more advanced in the West, what we call the Western world. But like overall, in terms of just human characteristics, man, a lot of the ways that people are just naturally here, they don't know any other way. Like, it's just their natural way of being. They're literally like, they literally are it is the embodiment in many ways of these very high spiritual principles that we think people are like gurus in the West,
right?
Because they're teaching stuff that like is pretty ingrained into the culture here.
Right.
Like, it's pretty innate.
Yeah.
It's like, live in the moment. That's everyone here.
Yeah.
What makes you unhappy? Expectations. No one has any here.
Right.
You know, and that has all these ramifications of where it's like, it's just peaceful and everyone's relaxed and people take what comes and they don't get too wrapped up in good or bad or otherwise. And they just deal with what is. And if that were aliens coming out of the sky, they deal with that. And if it's a death in the family, they deal with that. And if it's coming into a large sum of money, they deal with that. But it's like, there's not that sort of thing that our culture is used to. People from our culture are so used to putting these value judgments that become sort of life and death. You know, if I don't get this car, you know, if I don't get this job, if I don't get this girl, if I don't have this thing I want, you know, or feel this way I feel, you know, all is lost. It's like, no one here would feel that way about anything.
Right. Not like that. Yeah.
No, but like, really, I mean, like anything. I mean, like even the stuff that matters to them most, for example, their kids. Like, you'll see, you know, parents really care about their kids. They really care about their kids' education. You know, they worry about their children. They want to make sure they can support themselves and are safe and all. But even that, like, they wouldn't get as wrapped up, not even close to as wrapped up in those outcomes as probably even little ones that for our culture.
Yeah. I think I see some of that in like some of the cities. Yeah. Some of the upper class. Yeah. Professional class, upper professional class. You see more of the, you know, Western kind of value standard, you know, which is kind of sad. But that, you know, that kind of coincides with, you know, most of the country not being that. And most of the country is probably not by population, actually. Even it's probably most by geography, but not. I mean, most of the cities are probably not. Yeah. They're either struggling or they're in the upper class, you know.
Totally.
So. But a lot of them are, you know, the Western values that are driving their decisions, and it's kind of sad. Like they think
Yeah.
Gatorade's good for the kids, and
Right.
LeBron James is eating McDonald's, so like let's go after the game.
Which
Let's
is like a
go.
luxury item.
Right. So that stuff is kind of, and maybe that's, that's part of the beauty is that part of the rural areas, they're so far behind, the U.S. or the West in some of those, schools of thought. But it's sad to see, like, when you see it start to happen, because there's not really a way to stop it.
No.
There's not like you can talk to to folks you're close with and have at least a voice to help educate. But man, at the level it would need to happen, like, and you're fighting. I mean, that's a whole different ball game, and that's a different battle, man.
It's really a testament, in my opinion, to human nature, because look, I mean, I think human nature is very, very malleable. I think, like, if we've proven anything, it's that we're capable of anything, right? And I think human beings are very malleable and, very influenceable, very controllable beings. And I think, the culture in Ecuador, and you're right, we should distinguish, because we're really talking about rural Ecuador.
Right.
And it's not to say that culture isn't somewhat intact at least in the mountainous cities, in a place like Cuenca, in a place like Quito. That culture is still somewhat intact in those places, I would argue. But we're mostly talking about rural Ecuador, and which I think, by the way, is a global divide. I mean, I think you take a small town in West Virginia and compare the people there and the culture to the people in New York City, like, there's going to be some similar differences. But I think that's a little bit of a global sort of city versus country phenomenon. But it's really an interesting testament to human nature, because I was talking to a friend the other day who's actually exactly your age. So he's 45. So he's 45. And I was talking to him a little bit about Vilcabamba specifically, and just understanding, like, some of the timelines on some of these things. And I don't recall now the whole conversation, but, he was telling me that it wasn't until, I want to say, like, the late 80s, it was like the mid to late 80s, that the first person in Vilcabamba got electricity, right? And, the whole town, this is when, again, mid to late 80s, everybody's still on horses. There's not a single car in the whole town at that point. The first car didn't come to Loja until the mid to late, or sometime in the 70s, I don't know when, sometime in the 70s was the first car in Loja, right? In the mid 80s, we're still 100% horseback in this town. The first house, which was in Yamborada, he was telling me, the first house, and everybody gathered, and it was extremely expensive, the electricity at that time. And this guy spent a ton of money hooking it up. So the first guy gets electricity. There was no widespread electricity / television until the 90s, and even then, not, still low saturation, very low. So why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing all this up because I really think essentially that's the difference between the people and the culture here versus where we come from, that we are able to compare it to, or any other place, but is just the level of influence, outside influence, basically the matrix, the conditioning, the programming, like the mind control, was much, like orders of magnitude, like many orders of magnitude less. Well, why? They didn't grow up with TV, and again, you're seeing a difference now. So the kids, the younger generation here, they're still great, and they're still respectful, and they're still kind, and because they were taught well, and
they all got TikTok.
But yes, and they're different, and you can see the families falling apart in a different way. Even just in the time I've been here, divorce is much more acceptable than it was when I first got here in 2013. Children out of wedlock is much more acceptable. Like when I first got here in 2013, the whole like shotgun wedding thing was still kind of a thing. It was like, it's not now. Like it's been like culturally, just in these 12 years, to like not have a father who's like the husband / last name of the child,
right?
Whole thing isn't really a thing anymore the way it was. So we're seeing that change generationally with this generation that's now more mobile and has television and has cell phones and all that. But I think it's interesting. I think the way the culture is here is a really interesting testament to human nature in a good way. And just saying, like, when people aren't screwed with, like, and those social bonds get built and the culture is just develops naturally as opposed to like being influenced by, Saved by the Bell or whatever. That like it churns out caring, kind, compassionate, nice people. And
Dude, that's so interesting because what you just talked about with the whole mind slaves and the culture and that relates back to a couple things with Hollywood.
Yeah.
Not only with Hollywood, but with England. We were talking about the UK, right? The UK and so have you thought about, like, everyone thinks, they zombie movies, zombie shows, Walking Dead, all the zombie, there's 28 Days Later, all that stuff, right? That those are, like, that's the fear, right? The zombie apocalypse. If they just open their eyes and think about it for a second, we're already in it. We're living in it, right? Yeah. Like that, and those, the Hollywood zombie narrative depicts mindless hordes driven by instinct and serving, that's the analogy for modern mind slaves that you talked about, who conform unthinkingly to societal norms, to media narratives, to consumerism, they're stripped of all their autonomy, by fear of, manipulation. I don't know, like that. Well, that's what we have, right? So UK, you're describing, another, a more sophisticated level of the zombie apocalypse movie in the UK, which is interesting because one of the first zombie movies I ever saw was with I don't know, is it Cillian Murphy, the dude from Peaky Blinders, awesome actor. But he was in 28. It was either 28 or 20 weeks.
days later.
28 days later, from like the early 2000s, right? Where was the epicenter?
England,
England, right?
Yeah.
And then they've done. I just watched a couple weeks ago. I watched.
Oh yeah, that guy is a great actor.
Yeah. Right. So it's just interesting. Like, that's one of the first zombie movies I've ever seen. I mean, there's way more before that, right? But that the epicenter is in England. Then I watched 28 Weeks Later with Jeremy Renner, which was not as good. And then they just released 28 Years Later.
Yeah, I actually watched it. Yeah.
How was it?
It was fine. I mean, it was similar to the other ones in terms of the story. Like, it was. Well, right.
There's only so many, but there was nothing interesting. I heard I read some things like that. It was interesting, like interesting narrative, like character development.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it. I mean, I made it to the end.
All right. Yeah. So, but it's just like, all right. The whole point was just the fact, it just dawned on me that was all in England. And then you're talking about the stuff in England and the analogy of the zombie apocalypse. Well, it's
well, I mean,
I
like the idea, and maybe this may be what you more partly of what you mean, but right. It's like, what does I like that train of thought. It's like, what does the zombie apocalypse mean? Like, does it mean, infected zombies, stumbling around trying to bite people, right? Or does it mean just totally brainwashed, disconnected, third eye's been shut down, crown chakra's been shut down, walk around like this all day, zombified on their cell phone.
Driven by instinct only.
Without a thought in their head, basically. Right. Basically not autonomous beings. Right. Basically, yeah. And right. If from that perspective.
Well, that's the analogy.
From that, right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of there.
Yeah.
I mean, what percentage of people kind of fit into that? 70,
Right.
you know? I
Right,
don't
and
know,
that's why, and then you could take the analogy further and like, well, that's how there's the different kinds of walkers, or, you've got the ones that are really fast and trying to kill you, and the ones that are crawling on the ground, eating worms, and like they're all fat and like, and then the ones that are, can barely walk, you get different kinds of zombies.
And good analogies for different levels of sort of brainwashing,
Yeah, or consciousness,
Our consciousness,
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, dude. That's it, man. That is
so it's
it.
like, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, how comfortable are you with uncertainty?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of I don't know, maybe it's a key to life, but it's certainly a key to life here.
Yeah.
I
think anywhere, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a founding principle because it ties into expectations, it ties into mindset, it ties into faith and hope and fear and all of that stuff that we talk about. Like, yeah, man, if you need to know for sure to have faith or hope that's a spiral you can just spin down forever.
Right, and so this place will force you to learn that, which can be impossible depending on where you're at with that concept, right? Because it's like, can you enjoy your life? Can you hate uncertainty and enjoy life in Ecuador?
Hate uncertainty and enjoy life in Ecuador. Yeah, that'd be difficult. I mean,
my daughter told me this morning, at like 8 o'clock that she had a dance performance today at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
2 hours later.
Yeah.
Which ended up being at like 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah.
But it's like just uncertainty, right?
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's like very ordered in their mind, and it's very important to them that things are orderly and they can count on schedules and they can count on authority and they can count on systems.
Right. So they were saved by the bell.
Yeah.
Right. Ding, okay, go to my next class. Ding, exactly. Okay, work's over. Ding, okay, lunchtime.
To get a phone call at, hey, in an hour, there's this dance performance happening, that could cause a minor freak out for someone who's conditioned, right? So, so just how comfortable are you with uncertainty? Can you enjoy navigating life where it's all uncertain and the only thing that's going to determine the outcome?
Cow got out.
Yeah, it was hanging out in my little spot there the other day.
You leave any pies?
What's that?
She leave any pies?
No, fortunately.
That's good.
Yeah, a chicken did the other day.
Yeah.
I had to.
Better than
I had to navigate the chicken poop, but
It's better than the cow poop.
Yeah, like the only, what's the variable that's going to decide success or failure is your relationship, the quality of the person and your relationship with the person who's involved in whatever the thing is that you're doing. And so are you, is that fun for you? Are you comfortable in that? Do you want to live in an environment? Because that's what it is, right? So it's like
and it can, the dance thing is like, that's just a microcosm of like everything.
Of everything.
Right? Yeah, 3 days before, there's a soccer tournament 6 hours away that starts on Wednesday in the middle of the week and ends on Sunday. Like, what? Yeah. You're telling 3 days before we're finding out? Like, what do you mean? Like, they're all registered and everything? Like, what?
Let's go.
Okay, Tim, how are we figuring this one out?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's stuff like that in the States too. I think that so much of like like the normal day to day is so programmed. Mm-hmm. Like 9 to 5, after school activities, blah, 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 like that's pretty regimented, right? So, but there's still like, like I've got, it's on my phone, people are telling me about it's insurance premium time, and they're getting estimates, and they're getting messages from like United Healthcare and some of the, I got friends that are in public accounting that are auditing some of these big insurance firms.
Yep.
And they're sharing messages like that United Health and several other are sending their clients like, hey, open enrollment starts whatever, November 1st or whatever, with a disclaimer, government shutdown, blah, 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 subsidies are going away, expect, wide range in premiums. And they're telling me like, gosh, our premiums have gone up like astronomically over and over. Now they're telling us, and they're not telling us. They're like, oh, it's always about this, and it's always been a little bit more, and they keep going up and up and up, which we've had countless conversations on. That's what happens when you devalue a currency as a primary driver of that in the denominator.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're getting a notice like, hey, it may go up more than you actually think, like blaming the government shutdown, this and that. And then they're telling me, and then we got in this whole conversation about insurance, and they're telling me about property insurance has gone through like car, like everything has gone like buck wild, man, at least according to a couple of these guys anyway. And
I think that's true.
And it's just like, wow, man. And that's one of those things where those uncertainties create stress,
right?
Because you feel like you need them, and maybe in the States you do, and many times they're required, legally required.
Right. That's really the thing, yeah.
And the regulation. So now you have the stress to actually have to comply with the regulation, not only the expectation of the social norms, but the actual legal requirements to do life there, right?
Yep.
And here you don't have that.
Yep.
You don't have to have health insurance.
Very few people do.
You don't have to have car insurance. You don't have to have homeowners insurance.
Almost no one.
Right. So the burden or the stressor of having to meet that, it doesn't even exist. Like the baseline level of stress for just daily living is lower because that doesn't exist. And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you don't have house insurance, and there's an earthquake. Like we had an earthquake the other night. You didn't even feel it. I felt I felt it, man, here. But somebody loses a house and they have no insurance here, right? Well, and if they have no income, that could be a catastrophic, thing. Now, the beauty is that the culture often, even in things like that where there is big damages, they throw mingas and people come together and they help out, and maybe it's not the Taj Mahal, but they get a house and they get a roof over their head, and they're able to do that in a way. Yep. So maybe the community in a way becomes the insurance policy.
Totally.
If you're integrated. But that's the beauty about that one, is that one's free if you choose it to be, right? If you're part of it, if you actually choose to be part of it, then the insurance is free, right? Like,
yeah, well, it's what you said. Your your insurance premiums are your capacity to integrate.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that's, again, just one of the other heartwarming things about the culture here is like, as long as you are willing to integrate, like they'll welcome you right in. So it's like, if you live in a place in Ecuador where, it's mostly locals, and you make the effort to be part of things, like you say yes when you get invited somewhere, and you go to the little events or whatever, and you're friendly and you just make friends and the normal stuff. Like, if you're just part of things, like they will automatically just consider you part of that community, and you'll get all the benefits that anyone else would get as part of that community.
Yeah.
Meaning, if something bad happens to you, the community's gonna come together in some way and help, just like they would for anyone else. And it's just, it's really one of the joys of life here, is not only how amazing the culture is and how humble and kind and just sweet people are, and how different their priorities are, and in my opinion, much more in order. Like, not only is there all of that, but they're also very welcoming towards you.
Right.
Like they're very happy for you to be part of that. They're curious about you. They want to know about you. They're interested in you. There isn't that look of like, who are you and why are you here, you know, at all. And the only way you're going to get that is if you act like a jerk, you know? So yeah, it's so different, I think, than some of the ideas we have in our head. You were talking about Hollywood, I think, earlier, or you were saying something about the imagery that is used. I think maybe it was Hollywood, but it's like, I think that's really part of the reason, you know, the whole like asshole American idea.
Yeah.
I think, you know what that actually comes from? Like, I think it comes from actually, well, there are some cultural things that are just sort of natural, but I think those are secondary. I think primarily it comes from this cultural conditioning, which is basically Hollywood, but like this cultural conditioning we've gotten our whole lives as Americans that like we're the best,
Right.
basically. Like we grew up being told in a lot of little subtle ways, the best country on earth, best
And
people.
not so subtle.
And
like
not
subtle
so subtle.
And not
yeah.
so subtle, right.
Right. Best country, best this, best that. And so we have this false idea as Americans often, unless it gets shattered somehow, but like we have this false idea that like we're the king shit and we've got everything and everywhere else is like this poor, dilapidated, messed up place that like needs our help. Right?
Right.
And if you've done, you know, if you do any traveling and you can remove the the not rose-colored glasses, but something-colored glasses at all, and actually like look around at Earth, you realize like that's just not true at all. Right. Like we don't have any special answers. Like we're not more advanced really at all in any ways that actually mean anything. Like we do have we have a very dynamic economy. like there's things that America does very well.
Right.
Like we have, we are industrious and we, there's good attributes for sure. But, many people all over the world are happier, living better lives, living more content lives, have different ways of thinking about things and going about things and living their lives that has better and great outcomes. So yeah, it's just interesting. Like,
yeah.
Deprogramming some of the, it's like, well, this is the way we do it in the States, so it must be the best way. Like,
right.
It's not true. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I mean, it may be true.
Maybe it is, right.
Right.
Or maybe it is based on these parameters,
right,
but not these others.
Right.
Like many of the ways we do things in the States, if your goal is maximum efficiency, minimize the unknowns, maximize the known outcomes, maximize repeatability, maximize, if you, like those are the things, then yeah, we do probably better job than anywhere on earth.
Yeah.
But maybe Germany, right?
Yeah.
But like
Japan.
if your goals are like make sure that the community's thriving, make sure people are like looked after, and make sure that, Johnny's got a house, and make sure that like, terrible things aren't happening. A place like Ecuador is a lot better. Like,
yeah, I agree. I agree, man. It definitely is. And that's not to say there aren't programs and things that are attempts to do that in the States. It's just more so that those, it almost seems like the way, looking at it from afar, it's like those are just additional ways to enslave people, right?
Totally.
To keep them ants, not grasshoppers, to keep them, at one level of the zombie apocalypse,
yeah,
those types of things. They're providing incentives in the States. It's help, or it's incentive to stay an ant, to stay controlled, incentivized as help, or vice versa. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole concept of state sanctioned or provided charity, basically, welfare.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most destructive forces on earth. I mean, I think the Trojan horse idea or the road to hell is paved with good intentions idea. Like, I think if you take those two concepts and marry them, you kind of have basically government. And so it's all this Trojan horse. It's like, here, like, here's some free money. Like, just give me your soul, just give me your soul and I'll give you some free money. And, because to your point though, right, it's like, why is it that in Ecuador you don't have homeless people? You have a few now that are from other countries, but prior to when Venezuela collapsed in 2020, you didn't have homeless people in the entire country. Like, I'm sure there was a handful in Guayaquil, but I'm just saying, like you could travel throughout Ecuador and not see a homeless person, like a single one, like one guy with his bags, like on the street, like huddled, like. Before 2020, you didn't see that in the country. People say Ecuador is so poor. They say that there's all this food insecurity in Ecuador, which I think, outside of maybe some very small pockets in Guayaquil, I think is basically bullshit. But I don't know. But maybe there's some places I don't know about. But, you have this country that's thought of as this third world, poor, but there's not one homeless person in the whole country. Well, what's the difference? Like, what's actually the difference? Well, the difference is they don't have the social welfare here, where the government has stepped in and said, we're going to solve all these problems so that you, population, you don't have to worry about it. They never did that here on most things. So what happened? Well, the market has a natural reaction, just like it does to anything, which is that families take care of their own. So like, if somebody is not well, mentally, financially, physically, people take care of them from their family, period, right? So if you have someone who's, not all there mentally, like, they just are taken care of for their whole life by their family, period. You have tons of that here. Or you have someone who, becomes a drug addict, or, even in those situations, they're not, which is very rare in Ecuador, but, they're not going to be allowed to become homeless and destitute. And again, I think a big piece of that is just because in the States, we think, and in more quote unquote developed places, we think, okay, when the problem X, Y, Z, all of them, are supposed to be solved by government. And so therefore it's not our responsibility. And so therefore you don't have that same support system. Like, I'll bet, like, I don't know, I wasn't there, but I'll bet in the US prior to like the 60s, when they really did a lot of social service stuff, like when the government really got into welfare basically. Like, I'll bet the U.S. had much smaller problems when it comes to drug addicts, homeless, all those kinds of things. Like, I'll bet the society was still intact enough then that there was private charities and families and groups and just, so on and so forth that did a more effective job than now.
Right.
Because it's like, really, they're really incentivizing the behavior.
Right. That's what I meant, yeah.
It's like, there's a reason all the homeless people are in California. Like, it's not just because the weather's great, although that's part of it.
Right.
But it's, it's incentivized. Like,
it might have started and then like, oh, haha.
Right. It's a lifestyle. I kind of understand it.
Right.
I'm like, well, wait. You're telling me I can go out to this place where it's never cold. I can forget all my responsibilities and worries in the world, period. Like, I can just be like, I'll wake up in the morning and see what I feel like doing that day. The government will give me enough food and money that I'm like, okay, maybe even a place to live.
And some heroin.
And some clean needles and all that, and some heroin, right? And all I have to, it's a good incentive.
Right, yeah. It's wild.
Like, it doesn't sound that bad.
Road trip. No.
Like, if I didn't have kids and I didn't have anything I wanted to do in my life, and just sit on the beach and
yeah.
You don't even have to collect bottles and cans. Like,
right. Back in the day, yeah. Yeah, what a wild time, man.
So you don't have any of those weird incentives here, Like, nobody's incentivized here to change their gender. No one's incentivized to, like, get on drugs or be homeless or be crazy. Like, no one's here is looking for attention by being crazy.
Right. Well, that's actually looked down upon, right?
It's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's still, a lot of it is really, teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work here still. You know, in a lot of ways, like people still rely on each other and real relationships and working together. A perfect example. They're building a gate up here at the corner, right? And they had a delivery of bricks. And they had a 6-man, I have it on video, they had a 6-man conga line. And they're taking a brick and tossing brick by brick, throwing it in. And then this guy's throwing it to this guy, and he's catching and throwing it for a good hour and a half. They're literally unloading a truck with 6 men, throwing a brick to the next guy, like a good 30, 40 feet.
Right.
And then stacking the bricks, and they're stacked right up there, right? It reminded me, like, Jerry Rice. I remember Jerry Rice. I listened to an interview with Jerry Rice, and he told a story. He was a bricklayer. He worked as a bricklayer when he was young. I don't know how.
We're talking about the wide receiver.
Wide receiver Jerry Rice, right? Because it just me. I'm watching these guys. They're literally throwing bricks pretty far, catching them over and over and over. And I remember it reminded me of the story Jerry Rice told that at some point in his life he was a bricklayer for a long time, and they did that. They tossed bricks back in the day like that. And he said that's what he attributes to having such strong hands, you know.
Makes sense.
And I'm like, oh, no kidding, huh? Now I'm like, oh, now I see it, you know. Because he told the story that it's not like they show you a visual. I could never really understand. I'm like, what do you mean you got strong hands because you're a bricklayer? I'm like, well, if they're throwing bricks for hours, catching bricks, and, you know. I'm like, yeah, you probably have some strength in your hands, man.
Yeah, and let's actually break that down for people too, because it's such a different paradigm. So okay, so you've got 6 guys for, let's say, an hour, since you said an hour and a half, but just for the simplicity of math, let's say you got 6 guys, or we can say 2 hours. Let's say you got 6 guys for 2 hours. Okay, well, basically people here are making about $2.50 to $3 an hour. So let's take the top of that. Let's take $3. So $3 at 6 people, you're talking about 18 people, $18 it cost them to unload that in labor, or 36 if it was 2 hours, in this case 24 probably, or whatever it was, right? So you spend about $25 unloading this, the van or the truck. Spend about $25 unloading this truck. Okay, well, how would the U.S. look at that? Okay, well, in the U.S., you know, that same laborer is getting $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, something like that. Even if we take, let's say, a low number like 25.
Yeah, I mean, you go look at 2 men in a truck. You know, go rent 2 men in a truck to move your house, and what it costs for 2 hours of that? Probably cost you $300.
So let's So even if we took 25 an hour times 6, that's 150, 300 if it was 2 hours. So you're talking about, at the low end, we're talking about 18 versus 150. At the high end, we're talking about 36 versus 300, right? This is your difference in labor costs. The bricks themselves are not very different in price. They might be a little cheaper here, although I don't know that. They might be the same, or I don't know. But they're not going to be a huge difference. Like, the materials are not going to be a massive difference in cost. But your labor is incredibly different.
Right.
Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means here, when people are making those calculations, they're totally different calculations. Whereas in the States, anything that involves labor is like, oh shit, it's going to cost too much to custom make X, Y, or Z. Right. So automate everything, right? And that initial capital output, where you say like, all right, well, let's spend $4,000 on a brick conveyor belt, or whatever, like a brick unloading machine, because after 10 times unloading this brick, it'll pay for itself. Well, that brick unloading machine costs the same or more here than it does back home. But labor is so I mean, you'd have to unload it 400,000 times for it to pay off. So you got 6 guys in a line. And so this is true of every aspect of life here. So it changes the way you go about everything. Often the best way to do it, and the most efficient, cost-effective way to do it, involves the most labor. Right. And what we would think of as sort of the least efficiency. Right. But it's like Yeah,
and that's where, like, you used to hear, like, people, you used to hear Fortune 100 companies used to say, like, people are our biggest asset. Well, your labor force really, it actually can be, here, and that's a real thing. The brick thing, I think when we were driving to Cuenca a couple weeks ago, we went through Oña, and there's all it was Oña and just outside of Oña, where it's all clay and all that, and there's brick maker manufacturers everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And I was telling Diego, I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, is that where all the bricks are coming from? He's like, well, a lot of them come. I think he said they have some maybe in just outside of Malacatos. Yeah. But he's like, I think he said that if you do the math, you can get them cheaper if you go to Oña or you go around there and get them. The labor, the cost for you to bring them back to like this area is actually cheap. Like the bricks are so much different than buying them even in my.
Yeah,
again,
I'm sure,
I don't know.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, because there's another party involved, so there's an extra there's an extra cut for whoever's selling them here.
Oh, they're actually not making them here.
Well, I'm saying if you're buying them from somebody here, he's buying them and he's buying them from there, and then he's adding in a few cents a brick or whatever, maybe 5 cents a brick or something.
But there was tons of them, in that area. Like literally, like, I mean, I'd driven through there before, but I hadn't paid attention, and maybe I don't know, maybe they knew, I don't know.
No, and I think it's an interesting business. I've looked into it actually. The math on brick on that business is really good. There's also that interesting business of the earth blocks.
Yeah.
Where you convert people into using a larger, better quality block that you could charge the same for something that's better, larger and better quality.
Right.
And maybe like take over a good chunk of the market because people adapt quickly if there's truly a better option.
Right.
Like,
and you'd have to have, for something like that to be a business, you'd have to understand the right mix for the right region. And that's part of what they do with the bricks and why they make them certain places, because they understand that. And the earth blocks, you want to have the right mix.
Yeah, which basically they're just like an improved version of an adobe brick or an adobe block.
Yeah.
Which are same as the brick readily available here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, buddy.
So, anything else?
I don't know.
We didn't talk about the retreat.
Oh.
January 24th, 2026. If we're still here.
Wow. If 3i Atlas doesn't consume us.
If we're not hanging with the little green people, that'd be cool. Carl's seen them, man.
Yeah, he says so.
I mean, I saw the video of him saying he's seen them.
No, I've seen it too.
It's a good video.
He doesn't deny it. He does not deny it, yeah. But were they blue? Weren't they blue?
I think his were blue, actually, yeah.
I mean, who knows? They could,
Yeah.
Turquoise.
No, I mean, I've never... Oh, dude. I meant to tell you this earlier.
Yeah.
Something strummed that guitar in the middle of the night last night. But straight up. Yeah. I wasn't asleep. Yeah. I'm sitting in bed. Yeah. Ring! The guitar.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Nothing. I just was like, I just looked over. Again, it's that gap. It's that gap. I don't have much gap there.
Right.
Like I'm like, okay, there's something in the room with me.
Hold on. Let me put the bong down. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I was there was a moment of slightly spooked.
Yeah.
But overall, I was not very spooked. Right. But it was spooky. It was totally I'm looking could something have fallen and hit the guitar strings? No.
I mean, right.
There was nothing on the floor. There's nothing around it. It's strummed. I mean, straight up.
Was it in tune?
I have no way of knowing. January 24th, 2026, our next Vilcabamba lifestyle retreat. All I got to say is these are magical experiences. If you're thinking about Ecuador, if you're interested in Ecuador at all, come down, spend 9 days with us. You're at a beautiful eco resort, a place that you naturally just unwind stepping foot in the door. Here for 9 days, looks out over the valley, is absolutely beautiful place to stay. You get a complimentary massage. The retreat is all inclusive. And those 9 days are designed to give you just an absolute in-depth crash course on anything and everything you could possibly want to know every topic of interest as a potential expat or someone who's thinking about living in Ecuador, and then you also get the on-the-ground experience. So you're going to see all these places, feel all these places, feel the community, integrate a bit even in that time into the community, see everything that's going on here, good, the bad, and what do they say? The good, the bad, and the ugly? The good, the bad, and otherwise. So yeah, we'd love to see you down here January 24th.
Yeah, and guys, we'll have a video coming out soon, shortly, with a recap of our last retreat that gives you kind of a peek behind the curtain from the perspective of the participants. So definitely look out, be on the lookout for that. That will be releasing shortly. But if it does sound interesting to you, click the link below. It'll take you right to our WeTravel spot, our WeTravel site. You can sign up. It's got more information. If you have any questions, you can also send us an email. We're happy to jump on a call if you have questions. We've done that quite a few times already for January. And if you've made it this far into the video, give us a thumbs up, man. Thumbs up the video. If you made it this far, it couldn't have been that bad. I mean, it's probably pretty bad, but it couldn't have been that bad if you made it this far. You didn't doom scroll, so give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have your support as a subscriber and a thumbs upper and a commenter if you got any comments for us. We do have more content coming out for you. Fernando's got some cool vlogs. We've got a video about the library here in Vilcabamba that we're going to release soon. Again, the retreat video, lots more to come in the future.
I got one more.
Yeah?
Just because, so people can stop yelling at us.
Yeah.
El Paro.
Oh, the Paro.
El Paro.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with the Paro, to be honest, is like, if we weren't getting emails or there wasn't social media about it, I wouldn't know it exists. Living here. Yeah,
it's not like super widely. It's not a hot topic in Ecuador, at least in this region. It's a topic. People know what's going on, obviously. It's not a complete non-event, but it is not a hot topic in general in the country. And in our region, yeah, you'd have no way of knowing it was happening if it wasn't for more so international stories on it. Again, there are some local stories, like if you're watching the news or you're reading the news, I'm sure you're watching about it and reading about it. But yeah, it's been essentially a non-event for those, at least here. Now, I don't want to downplay what's taking place, and I don't want people getting upset because I'm not being considerate of, of what's happening, right? And so I don't mean to say it doesn't matter to anyone. Obviously, to the people who are protesting, it matters a great deal. There are absolutely economic ramifications. I don't want to downplay that either. They basically got rid of I think at this point, all of the gas subsidies in terms of gasoline for your car. So diesel, regular, and super are essentially all at international prices now, which is still way lower than the US, so I don't really know exactly how that works, but I don't think they're subsidized anymore at this point. So, when I first got here, for the first 10 years I was here, diesel, or 10 years, diesel was $1 a gallon. Then it went up to, I think, $1.40 or $1.60, and it was there for a couple of years, and now they got rid of the last subsidy, and I don't know what it is now.
It's like $2.80.
Okay, so it's gone up again. So, of course, this causes inflation, it causes prices to go up, it causes everything to get a little more expensive. For people who rely on it directly, obviously, there's extra costs. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything. I'm not even saying my opinion. I feel mixed about it in terms of whether I would like subsidies on those things or not. There's good arguments to be made as to why you should. Ecuador being a very oil-rich country, and a country that doesn't refine its own oil because of the failed refinery from some years back that they built but didn't build under Correa. But they don't refine their own oil, but they're one of the larger oil producers in the world, and so you can certainly make an argument that the population should have some benefit from that and have subsidized or free even gas. So I totally get it. I also understand the free market arguments. So I don't, I'm not even giving my opinion, but I definitely understand the pain, and I also like that the people, the population of this country, have some power and are able to affect change. Often I don't even necessarily care that if I agree with their what they're actually fighting about or not. I just like the fact that they can affect change.
Yeah.
And so there's been some small amounts of violence. There's been some some ugly things that have happened. It's basically a battle between police and perhaps military to some degree, and this group of mostly indigenous people up north who are upset about the gas subsidy going away and probably some other things. And but it hasn't turned into like a large national strike. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but the reality though is that like here we've not. Again, if people weren't telling me about it, there's been no ramification in day-to-day life down here.
No.
Like in a material way. So yeah, in certain areas, like I mean the road was blocked, right? Into Quito or
yeah, they're still up north. They're having, I forget if it's Otavalo or if it's Cotacachi, but one of those two, the municipio shut down. Like it's not open.
Right.
You can't process sales. Like
no kidding.
You can't interact with the municipio.
Yeah, so that's different. Like that's real.
That's real.
That's just not.
No, up north there's definitely stuff going on for sure.
Yeah.
So that's what we know.
Yeah.
About
which isn't much.
El Paro.
El Paro. All right, guys. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to all our friends and family.
Do-do-do.
Do you know that's what that's from?
Gosh, my dad used to sing that sometimes, like just screwing with me. And it's
see.
from some kind of TV show or something,
soon.
but I'm not sure. Was that Mr. Rogers?
K-E-Y.
Is that Mr. Rogers?
Why?
Is it?
Because we like you.
Is it Mr. Rogers?
M-O-U-S-E. It's Mickey Mouse Club, bro.
Oh, it's Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, man.
But I feel my dad would not have been singing me the Mickey Mouse Club, but I feel like he used to do that little routine.
He sure did. He was trying to get you to be the next Justin Timberlake.
I feel like those guys might have been a high cost of entry into some of those.
Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah.
Bye, bye.
Right. Exactly.
All right, guys. We hope to see you down here one day.
So until then,
we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
Ciao, guys.
Hey guys, we're here in Vilcabamba with the Abundant Living team. To learn more about our next retreat, click the link in the description down below.
From our family to yours, welcome to Vilcabamba.